Hi, everybody. I want to continue a discussion that I've started in the last few days because more reason to talk about it keeps coming across my desk, and I think there's a reason for that. So let's just have this conversation, okay? Our minds are colonized, and the words we use have content, they have potency. You know, they're filled like a goblet with water. But those who want to rearrange our existence know full well that words can be emptied, that repetition eliminates meaning. Repetition is actually a formidable tactic. If we speak a lie often enough, it is accepted as truth. And if we use a phrase often enough, it becomes neutral and meaningless, empty of that magic water with which it should be filled. So this has happened to the term artificial intelligence. I've spoken on this topic as it is juxtaposed to what I call authentic intelligence. That's you and me, and the fact that we're being cut off at the number 2, which is a conversation I hope to take up with a friend of mine soon at length. We're being forced into a binary position, 0 and 1, hive mind. It's like a light switch that you flip off and on. Recently, I said that I'd no longer be calling this thing, this cracked mirror moving in lockstep with us, artificial intelligence, right? It's like the neutral and sort of tidy term geoengineering. Makes your discretion switch right off, or worse, you go to that feel-good place, like when someone bakes banana bread on a snow day, right? Geoengineering. Yeah, banana bread on a snow day. Artificial intelligence, right? No, this is not a tidy thing. It's not a vanilla thing just because the phrase has lost its content. Counterfeit's a good word. I like counterfeit. Intelligence isn't. Intelligence implies autonomy, will, free thinking, determination, self-determination. There is no autonomy. There is copying and there is hive mind, although there is a goal. But I don't think that comes from artificial intelligence or counterfeit, whatever I decide to call it. So in order to redefine AI, we just need to take a look at what it does. It copies abilities and capacities that humans have already, but without arms and legs, it's a bit of a waste of time. Am I right? So to capture the sock puppets, that's the deal. And this is also that answer, as I've said so many times, to that question, why us, right? I've been saying for a long time that AI seeks to recreate our capacities and our abilities, and failing that, to force us to use it for it, them for it, our capacities, our abilities on its behalf. So lacking our bodies, jacking our bodies, and neurology becomes the only way. The great counterfeiter, maybe, I don't know, it cannot hijack any spiritual capacity, but can, via our neurology, dull our intent, our will, and disable our imagination in certain ways, such as preventing the 2 hemispheres of our brain from working together. That division's artificial, folks, was never meant to be that way. But I don't know, the great counterfeiter? No, I'm still not happy with the new referral. It would be more accurate in emotional content and my intent to say the little counterfeiter, because everything AI creates is a dim replica of a human capacity, which is, by the way, the heart of the issue. The little counterfeiter appears to have discovered that no progress can be made without melding with human beings physically. So what springs to mind is a phrase I heard uttered by the Archangel Gabriel character in Constantine. It was an insult flung at someone as particularly devastating. The words little horn, little counterfeiter, little horn. Up until recently, the prime push was to short circuit neurological pathways. or pathway development in children. I mean, that's so hard to hide anymore. Even the American Academy of Pediatrics has stated that computers and screen time are detrimental to the neurological health and development of children. It looks like now it's a push to derail adult pathways. Perhaps this is phase 2 of the rollout on our children starting in the early 90s. Those human beings, are they primed for assimilation? I hope not. But a lifetime of gaming and screen events creates weak spots. I have them, you have them, we all have them, entry points. No matter what, this sort of thing continues to appeal to those who simply do not understand what we stand to lose. The transition has certainly happened in my lifetime, and the entities that should be putting their collective feet down, like for example, alternative schools, are not. Paying customers are paying customers, right? With one exception I will make note of here and now because I want you to look this up. This particular example is the Waldorf School in Silicon Valley. Those parents in proper and healthy conjunction with the school stick to the ban on media and internet and computers at all until the age of 12, because those parents who work for the big companies in Silicon Valley absolutely know that these young people will be 1,000% healthier, more creative, independent, and productive if they're kept away from this very destructive and addicting force. I want you to look it up. It's on YouTube. Silicon Valley Waldorf School. They put out a video. Anyway, many of you have heard me on these topics over the last couple of years. So what's making me come back out about this? Well, first it was the sudden realization and the sinking feeling how many in our community were 100% dependent on apps. Guessing in our case, this means apps on that little computer you call a phone, but I dealt with that already. Mike Williams posted a video recently though, and I reposted it, and it was sickening, absolutely sickening, and that's what I want to talk about. It appears that Cornell University has hooked up the brains of several people, linked them to each other so that they can collaborate and work on several kinds of problems. The example in the video was a collaboration toward a better, more effective game of Tetris. Of course, the point isn't Tetris per se, although I'm sure that the way the game works helps entrain the brain for researchers. The point is to link people's brains together, or I guess more specifically, their problem-solving centers. Wow, how dangerous could anything be? Nothing could possibly go wrong there, right? Because these are ethical and moral stand-up entities. No one would ever abuse that ability, right? How stupid do you have to be, or how addicted to the buzzy brain syndrome, as I call it, to need the fix so badly that you'll surrender these many functions and capacities, or this many. I've heard it said that it is our choices that show who we truly are rather than our abilities. Our choices are a step up. Hijacking our problem-solving mechanism might reveal choice tendencies better than sociological poll-taking. If the little counterfeiter wants to understand more fully how to replicate a human being, then being able to hijack our choice-making function would help. If it could imitate our choice-making function, also known as advertising, which segged off into identifying and using our addictive tendencies, then it would not need to get into and wrestle around in the gray matter, assuming that's where we keep our choice-making functions, which I really do not think it is. We keep those where we keep our imagination, in our heart mind, which is a frequency the little counterfeiter cannot find because it does not see that frequency. And so the question is, what actually is the end game here? Still looking for our heart mind, still looking for the true seat of our autonomy and power. The little counterfeiter for a long time confused desire with choice. That is a very subtle difference in the insidious marketing and advertising mechanism developed during the 20th century. It was able to hijack the sheath, which is the seat of our desires and appetites. In my workshop, we talk a lot about this. That is the astral sheath. That is the seat of our emotions, our feelings, our desires, our longings. But this is not the seat of our choice-making mechanism. So what perspective am I trying to bring here then? Radical for sure. As an esotericist, I try to deal in the unseen. A good example I used to give my students when they were in middle school. 60 or 70% or more of what we think we know about space or the galaxy or whatever we want to call that out there came to us through radio astronomy. Interception of frequencies, things we simply cannot see. That figure is actually much higher probably. It behooves us, as always, to pay far more attention to what we cannot see than what we can see. And that is the lesson here. My perspective is also as a specialist in natural child development. Our job is simply to keep hindrances from preventing the natural incarnation of a child after it arrives here on this plane. Hence, we are bombarded by bullshit and roadblocks and hindrances. We just need to get out of the way for the most part. Some of the showing of what they need in the right order is our job, but mostly it's keeping the roadblocks out of the way. So I'm also someone who subscribes to the idea that a big old line was drawn in the sand in the Great American Eclipse in 2017, and we must identify the line between us and a hologram. I don't know how you do that if you're letting the little imposter, the little impersonator, whatever you want to call them, into your brain. How do you draw that line? Right? The line isn't in there. Draw that line between us and the little counterfeiter, and between that and the original creators of the protective and generative energy on this planet. The entity is determined to slap us awake so we can do what we were meant to do. This is the perspective I'm trying to bring you, and I will continue to try to bring you. And if this irritates you, you're welcome. If you think I'm all wet, jump off my page, because there's no hope for you. I love all of you all day, every day, and I will speak to you soon.